Hi, so I've had a change of scenery again, and I just want you to know the perils that I have to go through for this vlog, right? So I always rest my laptop on the ironing board so that I can be at like eye level with the camera. And I thought, oh, I'll move downstairs for a bit because I can't be bothered to make my bed, and my room's in a bit of disarray because I'm in the middle of like faffing about in my kitchen and everything. So I thought, right, I'll carry the ironing board downstairs and sit in my nice comfy chair, and I'll basically pretend that I'm the narrator from Rocky Horror Picture Show, right? Got about 3 steps down, and I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I was just flying down the stairs on my elbows and my bum. But yeah, so I've got a bad ankle right now, and I've got carpet burns up both my elbows. So I just want you to know what I have to go through for this vlog for you all. This is the vlog that I kind of started the other day and got waylaid talking about Sunset Boulevard, and this is going to be about musicals that I'm not too keen on, which slightly controversial, I know. Yeah, so Adam, I know you've been waiting for this one. Hello. Yeah, I'll start with Sunset Boulevard, kind of a quick recap really on that one. If you watch my previous blog or a couple of blogs previously where I'm talking about it, you'll notice that I'm a big fan of the film, and that's partly the reason why I don't really like the musical. It's just because it lacks the same amount of bite that you get in the film. It kind of doesn't really have that whole Billy Wilder ripping it out of Hollywood in it. It's just a bit tamer, and everyone's playing a version of Gloria Swanson playing Norma Desmond or what have you. So that's on the list of musicals I'm not keen on. I should say as well that I'm only going off versions that I've seen of the musicals. So if I've only ever seen a film version of a musical and I haven't been keen on it, I'm going off that. I mean, I'm sure the film version of some musicals that are terrible on stage really work, and vice versa. For example, if I'd only ever seen the film of Les Mis, that'd have been on the list. However, I think the reason I don't like the film of Les Mis is because I love the stage musical so much. And the same for Phantom of the Opera. I have many issues with that. That could take up a whole other blog altogether. So I won't get started on that. I'm going to start with a really controversial one now. And please don't hate me because I feel like I'm blaspheming a little bit. But I didn't dislike it, but I didn't like Wicked. And disliking something and not liking it is not necessarily the same thing. So if you said to me, Amy, I am desperate to go see Wicked, we're going down to London together, let's go see that, come and see it with me, would I sit and say, nah, you're alright, you go on your own, I'll go see something else actually? I probably wouldn't. I'd come with you. I wouldn't be averse to seeing it again, but neither would I go out of my way to go see it again. I didn't gel with Fiyero for one thing. I think he's one of probably the most hip leading men in the West End. Sorry. I just don't think he's got that amount of redeeming features that I can accept Elphaba falling madly in love with him the first time they go mucking about in the forest or whatever they do. I don't really get that. For some reason, I find it totally acceptable that Cosette and Marius can trip over each other in the street and fall madly in love, and I find it totally acceptable that even though Raoul and Christine haven't seen each other for many years, he can walk into a dressing room and suddenly they're like together. Find that totally fine. Fiyero I can't get behind. I just find him a bit distasteful. I mean, the music of Wicked is brilliant. Defying Gravity is probably one of the best musical theatre songs of the last couple of decades. I'm not taking that away from it. It's brilliant. However, I don't see that it gels well with the remainder of the story. Like, it feels a bit, for me anyway, it felt a bit stop-start in terms of now we're having a chat so that we can get to this song. And I felt that it tried really hard to wrap it up in the way that you would expect the start of The Wizard of Oz to be. And it just felt a bit like, right, we've got this end goal in sight, we need to get to this point, come hell or high water, whether or not it's the right thing for the characters. And that kind of bothered me very slightly. So, I wasn't raving. I wouldn't turn down going to see it again, but don't know that I'd go out of my way to see it. Yeah, that's on stage, that one, just to clarify. I'm going to flip it over to film now, and I've only ever seen the film version of this. Maybe the stage musical's totally different and I would love it. Film version of Thoroughly Modern Millie. there's a lot wrong with that. I mean, as a modern audience, the whole concept that every Asian person in New York wants to sell you into white slavery, that kind of sets me on edge a tiny bit. I'm not keen on that. Also, why in the world does Julie Andrews sing some Jewish wedding song? Who thought that was a good idea? Can you imagine the meeting where they sat with that and went, tell you what, Jewish wedding song that we're going to sing. She's going to be singing, you know, Mazel Tov to this couple that have just got wed. Yeah, Julie Andrews, is that fine? Yeah, that's fine. It's not fine. I also find it a bit trying too hard to be all quirky 20s. Too many kind of raised eyebrows and, you know, in jokes about the 20s and stuff. I just don't get that so much. Maybe on stage when it's all totally different, and I'm sure that for a modern audience they have sort of slightly alleviated the racial problems. I'm sure that would work, and I'm sure I would really like it. But in practice on the film, I really don't. Sorry. The songs aren't bad. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, and I always mix them up. Is it James or Edward Fox? He was really good looking as a young lad. So I get that. If I walked into an office and whichever Fox it was sat there looking like that, I'd be like, yeah, I'll have a job here. So I don't begrudge you that. But I'm not keen. I'm not keen. And dear God, that section at the party where they're all singing Jazz Baby, I can't bear that. Can't bear it. No, really can't get on with that. What else? I'll go back to stage. I'll alternate. That'll be the most sensible thing to do, won't it? Didn't really like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I felt a little bit like it wasn't aimed at me. I felt a little bit like it was kind of as if you'd gone to like some cabaret act that was very aimed towards sort of gay men, shall I say. Don't really know how to describe that without sounding like I'm making wild generalisations about kind of sexuality, but there was a lot of jokes about, ooh, we've got, you know, latecomers, we prefer the other L word, lesbians, and all this, and I was like, can we just get on with the show? Like, I mean, on paper that should have been good. I saw it like a couple of times on TV before I went to go see it, like songs from it, and I thought, oh, this looks really like upbeat and clever. And in a way it was. It just felt a bit like they'd shoehorned some things in there. I mean, there was one bit where they were obviously desperate to get a load of like camp songs in there and kind of songs that you'd recognise. And they were clearly so desperate to get the song that, I don't know if it's called this, but it goes like, someone left my cake out in the rain. That somebody baked a cake and left it outside the RV, and then there was a thunderstorm, and they came out and were like, oh, someone left my cake out in the rain, and I was like, didn't see that coming. Yeah, it just felt a bit too clever for its own good. I mean, I like clever things, don't get me wrong, I like being surprised, and I like having that little nod with the audience where they go, you know what we're doing here, and there was a lot of that in sort of like We Will Rock You, I guess, or to a lesser extent, I guess, Bat Out of Hell, where you got the newspaper when you went in and it said that the high school teacher was called Marvin Adair, and it was like, hey, see what you did there, that's meatloaf. But I don't know, it just felt a bit too nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And I like to kind of search for my jokes and feel clever about it rather than just going, this is a joke. Yeah, not for me, not for me. I don't think it lasted very long in the West End, actually. Surprisingly. Although I do remember that it had like Zoe Birkett from Pop Idol in it. I remember being quite excited about that because, yeah, I really liked her. But we all thought she was going out with Gareth Gates, so I didn't want to like her. But, you know, knowing what we know now, it's all fine. Also, West End, although I've only ever seen a recording on YouTube of it, Love Never Dies. And the recording the recording that I saw on YouTube, had Ben Lewis in it, who up until September was the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera. So he kind of played, or I saw him in the Phantom the wrong way around. Like he was the Phantom in Love Never Dies that I saw first before I ever came across him in Phantom of the Opera. And I mean, he's a brilliant singer. But it felt a little bit like somebody with money had made a load of fan fiction, which is, I think, kind of literally what happened. You know, Andrew Lloyd Webber has a lot of money, and he went, everybody really likes the Phantom. There are a lot of people that think he should have ended up with Christine. And my understanding, I may be wrong, is that it was very much a vehicle for Ramin Karimloo and Sierra Boggess after sort of Andrew Lloyd Webber had seen them both together. And he thought, yeah, this is great, now's the time. I love these two, they've got great chemistry. And he's right, they do. They are perfect. But for me, it's just so wildly different from Phantom. It's supposed to be a sequel, so plot outline here. It's set in the 1910s, so it's, I guess, like, it depends when your Phantom's set, because the film's set slightly earlier, I think, than the musical. If I remember rightly reading it that way, that they kind of shifted the time up a little bit. But it's set in the early 20th century now, like the very early 20th century, and it's set like 10, 12 years or whatever after the final lair in Phantom. And it's in Coney Island, and Christine is a world famous singer, and she's been engaged to play a gig at Coney Island, which I find very strange. That strikes me as like, I don't know, somebody like somebody really famous opera singer that I can't think of right now. Andrea Bocelli, I guess. Andrea Bocelli suddenly playing the pub at the end of your street. That's how that gels in my mind, so I can't quite get that. And there's a mysterious owner of Coney Island freak show fair, whatever, who's engaged to Christine. And when she gets there, I'll give you 3 guesses who it is. Phantom of the Opera, yeah. And she doesn't know that until he appears in a mirror, because he really loves doing that. And you find out that basically Raoul's horrible in it. Like, he's really awful. He drinks. He's really bitter about Christine's success, which doesn't gel with the musical at all, because if you watch him in Think of Me, he's like, come on, Christine! So it's for him to be really angry that she's successful and got these big engagements, I find very strange. And they have a son in tow called Gustav, and actually it's not their son. You find out that somehow or other she made it back through the final, after the final lair, she made it back into the Phantom's lair after it disappeared into a chair, mind you. Where he'd gone, I don't know. And they basically, you know, and then 9 months later, Gustav came along. No, not about that. Not about that at all. And then the Phantom's like, oh, that's my son. And basically, everyone dies at the end. Well, Christine dies at the end, and the Phantom's like, it's my son. Raoul's like, right, I don't care, because he's a bit ambivalent towards everything. And it just doesn't gel. I find it very strange. I find it very strange that they've changed the characters so much, and as Team Raoul, I couldn't get behind that at all. Glad I never went and saw that in the West End. I'd been livid if I'd have wasted my money on that. No, not for me, thank you very much. I'm going to go back to films a little bit now, and I have kind of some problems with some of the films of like the 40s and 50s. I don't like the ones where they shoehorn the songs in for absolutely no good reason. So a prime example of this, and I love the rest of the film, and to be honest this bit is growing on me as I get older, is the Broadway medley in Singing in the Rain, where they kind of go, I've got a great idea for the song and dance act in this film we're making. Here it is. And literally do this at a screen, where it zooms in and shows you Gene Kelly doing the song and dance act for the film that they're making in Singing in the Rain. And I find that very strange. That's less strange than the ballet sequence in Oklahoma, which if I saw it on the screen, saw it on stage rather, I'd be okay with it. Because the 1998 production of Oklahoma with Hugh Jackman, I can get behind that. I love that. It's a revelation. Hugh Jackman comes in and does some like brilliant dance moves and stuff. Where it falls down in the film is that they use lookalikes. Just hire somebody that can do all the singing, dancing and acting. And I'm not being funny, but Shirley Jones came from Broadway, so there's no way in hell she doesn't know how to do all that stuff. Oh no, Gordon McRae, and weirdly the only person that they didn't find a lookalike for was Rod Steiger, who, to the best of my knowledge, was not a dancer, not a song and dance man at all. I could be wrong, maybe he had a glittering career on, you know, vaudeville doing some weird tap dancing. I don't know, strange things have happened, right? But I don't like that bit in the middle. I fast forward it. On the stage, fine. On screen, not so much. So I guess that just shows you that it's totally different when you watch something on stage or on screen. Things are not the same at all. So I don't like that so much. Um, oh God, I'm afraid to say this one now, but I'm going to say it anyway. I didn't like The Greatest Showman. I don't understand why you wouldn't just make the musical Barnum. If you're doing a musical about Barnum, do Barnum. I don't know why you'd rewrite it all. Because, I mean, Barnum on a film, on paper, would have been really, really good because there's all the tightrope walking, all the sort of tricks and stuff that Michael Crawford got really famous for doing on stage in Barnum. And, I mean, hell, Celine Schoonemaker was in Barnum when they made that film. Just get her to be Jenny Lind, remake it. Film the goddamn stage production. But whatever you do, don't make a weird film that isn't quite the film version that you're expecting. Hugh Jackman is better than The Greatest Showman. I'm going to say that there. The songs are a bit samey for me. I mean, I know everyone goes mad for This Is Me, but the rest of them are just indistinguishable. There was a really good bit where him and Zac Efron were in the bar doing a dance, and they were proper just filming them doing a song and dance act, and, you know, hat on, hat off, shimmy, tap dance and all this. But the rest of it was a bit gimmicky for me. I'll tell you what annoyed me, right? Zac Efron is kind of sort of seeing that trapeze artist with the pink hair. At one point she's practicing and he comes into the ring and jumps on the ropes to sing a song with her. Now that trick, as a trapeze artist in that era, would have been done by counterbalance with weights. So those sandbags would have been weighted to compensate for the weight of the trapeze artist. You throw another person on there, another 12, 13 stone, those weights are going to be insufficient. What you should have had there was a recreation of the song Murphy and the Bricks, okay? They should have plummeted into the sawdust. That didn't happen. That annoys me. Do not defy the laws of physics in musicals. Can't get on with that. God, I feel like Brian Cox right now. But that sort of faintly annoyed me. And if I'm getting into that level of detail of things, you can tell I'm just like, no, not for me. Should have been good. Hugh Jackman is an amazing musicals performer, but I feel like the world only knows him from the musical versions of Les Mis and The Greatest Showman, and that really upsets me because he is so much better than that. And I don't kind of want the world to go, oh, Hugh Jackman, he's doing musicals now, he's done these two. No, watch the 1998 version of Oklahoma. You will love it. He is phenomenal. And I guess that's kind of partly the issue that I have with it, is that Hugh Jackman's better than they gave him credit for that. And yeah, some things don't work on film, like Les Mis. Some things probably don't work so well on stage. If you did a stage version of The Greatest Showman, that wouldn't work. As much as everyone thinks the film works, I have issues with CGI as well, so not for me. But yeah, there are plenty of musicals out there that I'm not so keen on. I'm sure as soon as I press stop, I'll think of some more that I didn't really like. There's some that I would never fancy going to go see, so I don't really fancy Thriller as much as everyone raves about it. I'm not keen on the idea. So what bothers me about that is, and this is just my understanding, and from a couple of times seeing it West End Live and sort of Googling it when I've looked on who's that in the cast and stuff, I find it difficult when they do shows about the artist. So the reason why I loved We Will Rock You is it had nothing to do with Queen. They referenced them, they referenced Freddie, you know, they played a lot of respect to Freddie and fair play to him, but what they didn't do was make it about the story of Freddie or Queen. But Thriller does that, and I find that really bothersome because if I wanted to go see an impersonation of Michael Jackson, I would go see a Michael Jackson impersonation. If I've got one night in London to go see something in the West End, I want to go see something new and exciting and something that I don't expect to see, and a storyline that I've never seen that'll make me be on the edge of my seat. I know the story of Michael Jackson, I know how this is going to end, I know this, so I find that a little bit tricky. I don't think I'd ever go see The Lion King, to be honest. I mean, if I was with somebody and they went, right, I'm desperate to go see The Lion King, I'd go see The Lion King. I guess it's just one of those things that I love the film too much. And I think you have images in your mind's eye of how you expect things to be. So you expect Simba to sound a certain way, which I know is really ridiculous, because if you've only ever seen like the 25th anniversary of Phantom of the Opera, for example, you're never going to walk into Phantom and have Hadley Fraser's voice come out of Raoul, for example. And it's the same principle, I understand that. However, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me that this is live people being the animals and stuff when it's a cartoon. I feel like it lends itself to cartoons rather than actual stage productions. So, I don't know, maybe I'd see that and change my mind. Maybe I'd see it and go, you're right. Who knows, it's exciting. But yeah, so they're my recommendations for things maybe not to go see. I think Book of Mormon could go either way. I loved it. However, if you have a nervous disposition, you would hate it. Like, I would never take my mum to see it, for example. She would hate it. I walked in and there was like, well, there was fellas just on their own, like without women, which like that's kind of unusual for musicals. They'd clearly gone to go see it and really, really enjoyed it. And like 3 seats down from me was a Jewish gentleman, an Orthodox Jewish family, and I thought they're not going to have a good time in this. Like, I knew enough about it to know that they were not going to have a good time. They were howling, so I guess you never can tell. But yeah, don't go see some of them. Or do go see Book of Mormon, but only if you've quite open mind. Because by God, if you haven't, you're in for a shock. So yeah, I'm going to go tend to my wounds now, since I fall downstairs. And I've just realised I've got a hole in the elbow of my shirt from where I skimmed it on like 12 steps on the way down, and it's carpet burned to hell, and I've got carpet burns all over my hands. So if anybody wants me, I'm gonna go look for some Savlon.